the general overall topic view. We're moving away from the technical aspects of project management and getting into some of the more socio-cultural aspects of project management. Leadership and project team management are the first two in those topics. So I use a lot of video examples that we can draw some analogies from and discussion forums so that we can allow individual students to have some insight into some of the issues surrounding things like leadership, ethics, and managing project teams. So let's take a look at this next slide here and get a sense on where we're at. Let's take a review of where we are now. And we've done all the technical aspects of project management that we'll be doing for the rest of the semester. And so we're really back to some of these other concepts on leadership and teaming and outsourcing, coming up with a project closure, plan, and retrospectives, and then some of these optional chapters which we will get to various levels of depth. You may remember this slide from our first week in which we talked about project management being a managerial process that involves both technical and socio-cultural aspects. We've been spending the last 5 or 6 weeks looking at all the technical aspects of project scope, work breakdown structures, scheduling, resource allocation, baseline budgets, and we just wrapped up status reports this week. So now we're moving back into the socio-cultural aspects and looking at leadership, looking at problem solving, looking at teamwork, looking at the art of negotiations, corporate politics, customer expectations, and a few other subjects that really fit into this area we like to call sociocultural. So over the next few slides, I'm going to show you some video examples relating to leadership. And from those video examples, you'll be able to go to the discussion forum and have a dialogue with your fellow students about the differences between leadership and managing projects. So let's take a look at some of these.
We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard.
Leadership. It's a concept that is frequently talked about, but what does it mean? What distinguishes a manager from a leader? What is power? How can managers develop leadership styles and use power in a manner that will inspire and motivate employees to go beyond their job descriptions and catapult a company to a world-class status? Leadership can be defined as a combination of personal attributes and abilities, such as insight, energy, and knowledge, that create a shared vision of the future.
I hope you found that first video interesting. There'll be 2 more videos I'm about to show relating to leadership and management, and I'll run those back to back. And then after you're done with those 3 videos, be sure to go to the discussion forum and chime in about what you think the differences are between managing projects and leading projects.
My name is Amy Wilkinson. I'm a White House Fellow. My question is how you would define the key characteristics of effective leadership that allow you to go and be an advocate for good.
Trust. The longer I have been in public service and the more people have asked me about leadership over the years, leadership ultimately comes down to creating conditions of trust within an organization. Good leaders are people who are trusted by followers. Leaders take organizations past the level that the science of management says is possible. One of my sergeants back in the infantry school at Fort Benning almost 50 years ago, which is where I learned everything I ever got to learn about leadership, was at the infantry school. And he said to me one day, he said, "Lieutenant, you'll know you're a good leader when people follow you, if only out of curiosity." I've never had a better definition, because what he was saying, and I've seen it experienced in my life so many times. What he was saying is they trust you, and you have built up that trust. How did you do it? Clear mission and statement, selfless service. People look to you and they trust you because you're serving selflessly as the leader, not self-serving, selflessly. And that you prepare the followers, you train them, you give them what they need to get the job done. Don't give them a job if you're not going to give them the resources, and that you're prepared to take the risks with them. And so they would teach us at the infantry school, no matter how cold it is, Lieutenant, you must never look cold. No matter hungry you all are, Lieutenant, you must never appear hungry. No matter how terrified you are, Lieutenant, you must never look terrified. Because if you are scared, terrified, hungry, and cold, they will be scared, terrified, hungry, and cold. I've gotten away with that many, many times in the course of my career by being scared to death, cold, and wanting to go to sleep. But no, let's go. Let's keep going. Let's go around this corner, if only out of curiosity. And they'll follow you into the darkest night, down the deepest valley, up the highest hill, if they trust you. So the essence of leadership is about doing all that the science of management says you can with resources, but then taking it that extra step and giving it that spark. And that spark comes from getting people to trust you so that they will follow you, if only out of curiosity. Thank you.
So much of what we do is in having people approach decision-making processes from a group point of view and allowing for input. And it's difficult many times. It's difficult to find the time to listen to everyone, but I literally try to book out time weekly where we meet with people, and I meet with the directors after every project, find out what the heck happened, what did they think, how did they feel, how did the client feel, analyze those things. But by the time you have all the information, the decision is usually self-evident. It's a matter of making certain that you get accurate information immediately, that your client response issues are done immediately, and then your intuition will tell you, I mean, what's the right thing to do. It's 99.9% of my decisions are self-evident once you have the right information.
Hopefully you enjoyed the other two videos that you saw. I think you saw some contrast and some similarities between the various takes on individuals on leadership versus managing projects. Part of your job as a project manager is to manage the stakeholders along with the project itself. And there's some project management maxims that I think are worth mentioning here. Things like you can't do it all and get it all done. And the reality there is you as project manager need to rely on your subordinates and project team members to help you along the way. Projects usually involve a vast web of relationships, and it's up to you to manage those relationships, have the appropriate currency available to those relationships when you need them. If you want to learn more about currencies and the currencies of exchange, make sure you read Chapter 10. Another thing to mention in terms of project management maxims is hands-on work is not the same as leading. Yes, you can do the work. One of the reasons you're a project manager now is you're able to do all the things, or many of the things, that most of the people on your team can do. But the pressure to get that deeply involved will take away from your ability to lead and your effectiveness to be a leader. A third thing to think about is what's important to you is not likely important to someone else. And so you got to understand where everyone's coming from and the different priorities and different stakes that each individual and stakeholder brings to the table. And just to leave you with this last message of hope, that project management is a tough, exciting, and rewarding endeavor to persevere. And persevere you'll need to do.